Most men are being tested without even realizing it. Not because women are cruel, but because they're wired to search for strength, direction, and leadership. If you're not the type of man who commands respect with your composure, you'll just be another lesson in her story. Today, you're going to see why the only man women truly respect is not the one who pleases, but the one who holds his frame. If you miss this, you'll keep being the test, not the masculine answer. If this message already hit something inside you, feel free to drop a like, comment, or share it with someone you care about. That's how this kind of truth reaches more men who truly need it. And once you understand this type of man, you'll never be treated the same again. Let's break down exactly what sets him apart. Why most men fail the respect test without knowing it. There's a brutal truth most men never hear until it's too late. She's not reacting to what you say, she's responding to what you are. And if you don't carry a masculine presence that speaks before your mouth does, you'll always be the test, never the answer. Women have an unspoken radar for a man who lacks self-respect. They don't need to say a word. Their body language, silence, and sudden coldness will tell you everything. But what exactly are they looking for? They're not looking for looks, money, or even charm. Those help, sure. But what actually triggers deep respect is a man's frame, the invisible boundary of who he is and what he won't tolerate. When that frame is weak or constantly shaken, she feels it and starts pushing, not to be mean, to see if there's anything resilient behind your words. Most men don't realize that boundaries are more attractive than compliments. And that's where the testing begins. The subtle eye rolls, the sarcasm, the little jabs that seem harmless. She's watching to see if you flinch, chase, justify, or hold your ground in calm composure. If you fold, she knows. Not consciously maybe, but instinctually. You're not the one. Not yet, because the one she respects doesn't explain himself. He doesn't need to. He lives by his purpose, not by her reactions. Imagine walking into a room and saying nothing, yet everyone senses something different about you. That's what power feels like. Not the loud kind, not the show-off kind, the quiet type that moves people without lifting a finger. That's the type of man she respects, the one who doesn't chase approval because he's too focused on his direction. And guess what? That's the very thing that pulls her in without force. Let me make this simple. If you ever felt like you had to prove yourself to a woman, explain, beg, overperform, it means she was already testing you. Not because she hated you, but because she didn't fully respect you. And deep down, you knew it. You felt the shift in her tone, her eyes, her energy. That's when the test began. And that's when most men fail, silent. But here's the good news. There's a way to flip that dynamic forever. The shift starts when you stop reacting and start observing. Nonchalance isn't rudeness, it's maturity. When she throws emotional bait and you respond with silence instead of panic, she pauses. It's in that pause that she feels your strength, because the man who's lived through storms doesn't flinch at wind. That's the art of Stoicism in real life, not theory, practice. And she respects that more than any fancy date or pretty words. Want a quick test? Next time you're with her, notice how often you adjust yourself to please her mood. If it's more than once, you've likely lost your frame. Reclaiming it starts with noticing, then slowing down, then holding back a response when you feel triggered. That alone can begin to rebuild your confidence. This is where the journey starts, not by being louder, but by becoming deeply still inside. And here, a quick pause. If this content is hitting nerves and opening your eyes to things you couldn't explain before, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this is just the surface. The next few minutes will redefine how you see yourself as a man. If you blink, you might miss the very line that flips the script in your relationship forever. Let's keep going. There was a man named Caleb, mid-30s, good job, decent looks, emotionally available. Yet every relationship ended the same: slow loss of attraction, increasing tension, sudden detachment from the woman, and no clue why. Until one night, his girlfriend whispered, "You're too nice." It's boring. That shattered him. But it also woke him up. Caleb had built his life around pleasing, not leading, around adapting, not standing firm. And he realized respect had never entered the room. He started digging into what real masculine presence meant, not in the gym or the mirror, but in the quiet spaces where discipline lives. He stopped answering texts immediately, stopped over-explaining himself, started journaling, meditating, reading about Stoicism and how Roman emperors ruled themselves before they ruled empires. Within months, the way women looked at him changed, not because they changed, but because his self-worth was no longer negotiable. You see, when you radiate self-respect, people treat you differently, not because they're better, but because your energy tells them how. This isn't spiritual fluff. It's psychological. Humans mirror what they sense. If she senses weakness, she will poke. If she senses dominance rooted in calm, she will lean in. She'll even test harder, but not to break you, to see if you're the real deal, the man behind the mask. One of the fastest ways to destroy her attraction is to act like you're unsure of yourself, hesitating when you speak, apologizing too much, constantly needing her reassurance. It doesn't feel powerful, it feels needy. And polarity dies the moment confidence does. The energy between the masculine and feminine collapses when the man stops leading, not with control, but with direction. You don't need to dominate her. You need to lead yourself. Let me be real. Women get bored when they know exactly how you'll respond. Predictability kills mystery, and mystery fuels attraction. So when you always agree, always bend, always explain, what's left for her to explore? Nothing. And that's when she starts pushing your buttons. Not because she's toxic, but because she wants to feel your frame. She wants to know if there's a man under the surface, or just noise. That's why silence is sometimes the most masculine response. You don't have to answer every question. You don't have to defend every opinion. You don't have to justify your boundaries. In fact, when you stop trying to win her over and start living by your own inner compass, everything shifts. It's in those moments of still composure that she senses your value, and her tests, they start to fade or turn into admiration. You're not meant to be her emotional sponge. You're not her diary. You're a man. And with that comes the responsibility to build your inner world. That means solitude. It means saying no. It means being misunderstood and staying grounded anyway. That's what resilience looks like. And ironically, the more you detach from the need for her approval, the more drawn she becomes. Not to your charm, but to your energy. Have you ever watched a man walk into a room and somehow people just move around him? He doesn't need to be loud, ripped, or rich. It's the way he holds his space. That's presence. And it's built from deep, consistent discipline, from knowing who you are and what you'll never allow again. That kind of masculine calm makes her nervous in the best way. It makes her curious, because she knows this man can't be moved by drama. The biggest mistake nice guys make, thinking kindness equals respect. It doesn't. It earns politeness, not desire. Real respect comes from boundaries. When you say no and mean it. When you let her feel disappointed without rushing to fix it. When you walk away, not to manipulate her, but because your standards matter more than her mood. That's when she looks at you differently, not as a boy, but as a leader. So many men lose themselves in relationships because they mistake connection for merging. They forget that attraction needs space, polarity, tension. You can't be her best friend, therapist, and lover all at once. It dilutes your power. You need to step back sometimes. Let her wonder. Let her reach. That's not game playing. That's natural polarity. Masculine energy invites, leads, then pulls back. Feminine energy flows, follows, and tests. It's not about being cold. It's about being unavailable to nonsense. When she sees that you don't flinch at her emotional storms, but instead you hold your frame, she can finally relax. Not because she won, but because she's met someone stronger than her chaos. That's the moment the game ends, and something real begins. But you only get there if you've built the muscle of indifference to anything that doesn't align with your purpose. Want her attraction to grow? Don't chase. Create space. Focus on your direction. Let your silence speak louder than your compliments. Become unpredictable, not by being flashy, but by being centered. The man she can't control emotionally. That's the man who drives her wild. That's the man who walks away when respect is gone, not out of anger, but because self-worth doesn't beg to be seen. It shines and lets others adjust. You don't need to be perfect, but you need to be solid, uncheckable in how you treat yourself. That's what builds real confidence. Not hype, not pickup tricks, not manipulation, just knowing your own value. Most men give that value away with every text, every over-apology, every please love me moment. Stop it. Sit with yourself. Ask, would I respect me right now? If the answer's no, that's where you begin. The men who get respected, and I mean really respected, they don't perform. They don't chase validation. They don't adjust their identity for attention. They're consistent, still, decisive. They don't explain their boundaries. They live them. And when she senses that, everything changes. The way she speaks, the way she looks at you, the way she fights for your presence. That's not magic. That's earned dominance, born from internal composure. It's wild how fast things shift when you stop trying to impress her and start impressing yourself. That's the foundation of self-respect. When your habits, your thoughts, your decisions all point toward one purpose, you naturally become magnetic. You walk different. You speak slower. You don't need to rush or prove. That's what makes her watch you from across the room and wonder, what's going on inside that man? That's polarity. That's real power. Let me tell you something most men never consider. You don't need to be loved by everyone, but you must be respected by yourself. It's easy to say yes when you want to please. It's hard to say no when it might cost you her smile. But every no that aligns with your values builds your frame. And every time you betray yourself to keep her happy, you lose a piece of your edge, bit by bit. And here's your second pause. If this content is speaking directly to you, don't wait. Hit that like button and subscribe now, because the next part will take you even deeper. These next insights are what turn respect into deep, lasting attraction. And if you skip ahead or stop now, you'll miss the piece that brings it all together. So stay sharp. This is where the real shift begins. Let's keep going. Women may admire charm, but they respect calm. When you can hold silence during conflict, when you can breathe instead of blow up, she sees something rare. That's the man who's dealt with pressure. That's the man who won't fall apart when life gets messy. That calm is built through exposure, through doing hard things when no one's watching, cold showers, deep journaling, eye contact. It's those invisible reps that build real dominance. You want a simple exercise? Take 3 days and say less. Watch her. Watch how your nonchalance makes her lean in, how your confidence starts to grow from simply observing. Let the space between your words speak. Let your slow reactions become her mystery. She's used to men reacting. She's not used to a man who chooses when to respond. That maturity, that's rare, and rare things. They pull attention without trying. Now, I'm not saying go cold and robotic. This isn't about being heartless. It's about detachment from outcome. The moment you stop fearing her opinion, her approval, her rejection, is the moment you become free. And that's when the dynamic flips. She starts chasing the one thing she can't manipulate, your sense of self. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's leadership over your own emotional state. Too many men confuse being available with being valuable. But availability without boundaries just feels desperate. The man who has places to be, goals to hit, and a mission to live, he's not always reachable. And that makes her respect every minute she gets. So ask yourself, do you give too much, too fast, too often? Or are you building a life where she needs to earn access to your world, not be handed the keys for free? Being a man who's respected isn't about controlling her. It's about controlling yourself. The more composure you show when things get uncomfortable, the more she watches you. Not like prey, but like a pillar. Stability is attractive, not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. And in a world full of insecure noise, stillness is loud. That's how Stoicism becomes sexy, not because it's cold, but because it's powerful under pressure. If she feels she can throw you off with a glance, a text, or a silence, she will never fully respect you. Not because she's evil, but because biology favors strength, and strength doesn't always show through muscle. It shows through discipline, through decision-making, through your ability to say, I'm not going there. It's when your frame becomes more than theory. It becomes who you are, all day, every day. Your biggest asset isn't your looks, your car, or even your income. It's your presence. When you can walk into a room, speak little, and still dominate the energy. That's alpha energy. It's earned, it's practiced, and it doesn't come from needing to prove. It comes from knowing, from being grounded in your purpose, even when no one's watching. And when a woman senses that, the testing slows down, the respect speeds up. So if you've ever felt lost in a relationship, if you've ever felt like you were doing everything right and still getting disrespected, pause, step back, rebuild, start small. One boundary, one quiet moment, one pause before reacting. That's how you reclaim your direction. That's how you stop being the test and start being the standard. Because when you embody this, she doesn't just see you, she studies you, and she adapts. But here's the twist most never expect. Once you become that man, you don't even care if she respects you, because you already do. And that's what makes it all work. You're no longer attached. You're no longer performing. You're simply living in alignment. And that ... is what turns the entire game upside down. But that's just the beginning. The next level is where your presence starts shaping the entire relationship dynamic. So now you've seen it. The only type of man women truly respect. And it's not the one who pleads, bends, or performs. It's the one who leads himself, who holds his frame, who moves in silence and stands firm in his purpose. That man doesn't ask for approval. He earns respect without words, and women feel it before they understand it. The rest, they're just tests, and most men are failing them without knowing why. But now you know. So let me ask you, are you living as the man you truly respect? Or are you still hoping she will see value in a version of you that even you don't admire? What's stopping you from owning your masculine energy right now? Is it fear? Old habits? Lack of clarity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want you to write just one thing. No more tests. I lead from now on. And if this message hit you in a way you weren't expecting, thank you, truly, for staying until the end. It means you're ready for change. Now, if you found value in this, I kindly ask you to like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the journey into real self-worth, direction, and power is just getting started. You're not here to be tested. You're here to be respected.